It's happening, baby.
We're live. No, we're actually live. We
Oh,
flipped the
yay.
switch. We are live. Yes.
The lighting, your
Well,
lighting looks fantastic, and so does your hair.
I
You got
know,
this
right?
little,
It's like, yeah, I got the lights going here, and yeah, it's time for a haircut. I got some serious spike going on there, but it's okay. It
yeah.
matches the beard too. Anyways, oh hey,
Yes.
welcome everyone. For those of you watching live and those of you that will be watching this on the replay, welcome. Please like this, share this, comment on it. We do these with the intention on helping you, the entrepreneur, the individual that may be going through similar challenges, struggles, emotional moments, whatever you want to call it, so that we can empower you as well in your life. So, on that note, I see a few people popping on here right now. Nima, welcome. Awesome to talk with you again. We haven't chatted for like a few days. It's kind of weird. Like usually
I
we're
I miss you,
talking every single
Trevor.
day. I miss you too. so, so Nima's over on the island right now. We're not seeing as much of each other as we used to. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a sad thing, but we're
Yeah.
making time. We're making time here. And and transitioning on that note into what the topic is here today. So, we've spoken about this a few times on past lives that we've done that in the last 3 months. Nima and I just met like 4 months ago, essentially. And the way that we met was I contacted him because a trusted friend of mine said, "Hey, you should talk to this guy. I think he might have this method that might be able to help." And I thought, yeah, I am looking to fix my wife right now, so maybe I should give him a call. And there's a key point to all of that in case any of you didn't pick up on it. It's like, I'm going to fix my wife. I'm going to enroll her into my way of thinking.
Yeah.
So anyways, I contact Nima and I go, so do you think that your weekend program is best for both of us to go, or should I just send her? Which secretly was me saying, she's the one that's broken. So do you think you can fix her and just like spit her out the other end and
That
everything will be good?
how common have I heard that? Is you got to fix my husband, fix my teenager, fix my wife. Can you? And I. What did I say to you in that moment? What did I tell you?
You both need to be there. This takes two. You have to be present. You have to show up. You have to do the work. I don't think he said in that many words, but he basically said you should both be there.
I failed enough times in relationships to know how important it is for for a commitment to be there. The number one problem, I'll tell you right now, the number one problem, speaking from a guy who's been divorced and has helped many couples who are going through relationship limbo or relationship crisis is what I like to call it. All that, the biggest challenge, the biggest relationship problem is a commitment issue. So both parties have got to be committed to the process, and if they are, then anything is possible. It's like your entrepreneurship journey. It's like, how many times do you want to quit, right? And so I've been exploring this concept of relationships and limbo, and going through a breakup, and what it takes to actually have something that works, and commitment's the big one. So I want to applaud you. I just want to acknowledge you both of you guys throughout all the challenging times, building this business up. You're going, all right, we're committed to making this work, and it's been fun working with both of you. And this topic is very interesting today.
Yeah, totally. I was just trying to pull up exactly what I wrote on here again, but I'll just wing it based on what I remember. Oh, here we go. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
So the question that I asked people kind of leading into this live chat that we're having here right now is, as an entrepreneur, when you first decided that, what, I can't work for anybody else, I need to see my vision through. Obviously, you have this incredible drive and you see some type of a sign, right? It's like, what, I need to do this. And a lot of times we turn to our partners and we go, what do you think? I know I did. And not only in my current relationship, but as you've been through this too, Nima, I've been through a divorce myself about 10 years ago. And I remember saying, like, this is what I want to do. And I just wanted to hear encouragements and to know that person was going to hold me high, And of course, when you first dive into that space, a lot of times your partner is going to be supportive. There may be some fears around the unknown. Maybe if you're with somebody that's like much more risk adverse than you as an entrepreneur, obviously you must be willing to take some risks. But naturally, the path of an entrepreneur, and I'm just speaking from my own experience, it's usually like this, Nima. And I'm very transparent in talking with people even that we mentor too, to say like, this is entrepreneurship. And you know what, even when we mentor and work with people, it never goes like this. We maybe just get it a little bit more like this, right? There's always ups and downs.
Correct.
And what I found was that previous to me doing a lot of this work, I wanted my partner to be the person to lift me up all the time. When I hit a wall, when I was having a bad day, when I was self-doubting, I wanted them to always be the one that was like pulling me up. And when I didn't get that, I would either feel hurt or like a failure, or in some cases feel angry that they weren't supporting me. Those were
rejected,
kind of the main,
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, and rejected, right? And that's why I titled this like how to enroll your husband/wife into your entrepreneurial vision. And literally when I told a few people this leading up to this talk, Nima, and as soon as I said the title, they laughed at me. They were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, how to enroll your partner, right? Yeah." Because it seems, just the phrase of that seems like you're trying to like manipulate them or something, or get them to do something, right? And I've learned a lot in the last 90 days in working with you. So anyways, I'll let you kind of speak from that point on what I've already addressed.
Well, every conversation that we have, we're either shrinking, contracting, or we're creating a possibility. And in order for me to create a possibility with you, I have to enroll you into that possibility. It's not just about sales. And quite frankly, sales is, in the realm of interpersonal relationships, caring is about communicating in somebody else's values and priorities, saying, listen, we know what's important to you. I know what's important to Trevor. And so if I was a caring individual in my friendship with you, then I would share with you something and enroll you in it according to what's most meaningful to you. Care less means I don't care what's important to you. I'm just going to focus on my own vision, and you got to be, you just have to be enrolled in that. That's careless. But when we have it outside of interpersonal relationships, we call that selling. So in your sales process, for example, with a client, the best sales process, the most successful salespeople are the ones that take the time and actually care about what's most important to the person and who are listening to their pain points and what's most important. And so that's really caring. That's selling in an external relationship. Now, when we get into partnership in our spouses, we have two people with two separate value systems, and all of a sudden you birth this desire. I don't want to work for this person anymore. I want to, pursue my dream. And it's an unrealistic expectation for you to expect and that your partner is going to be enrolled in your vision if that vision, they can't see that it's going to support their values in any way, shape, or form. So human beings operate through a hierarchy of values. And whether it's your child, whether it's your partner, business partner, or romantic partner, if we don't take the time to know and get to know what's most important to that other person that you care about, then there's no enrollment. There's no possibility that's created. You can't get them on the same page as you. Sometimes, if you're not aware, then that person's vision, by you pursuing your entrepreneurial vision, Trevor, what's going to happen is they're going to perceive that that's going to get them less of what they want. So if that's the case and that's the perception and that's how you've enrolled them or sold it to them, then they shouldn't be on the same page as you. The question then goes to, how comfortable am I being in the space when my partner is not feeling well, doing well, or treating me well? And what I've learned through my own failures is my ability to be able to sit in the chemical soup of feelings, because that's what feelings are. They're just releases of, like, they're just cocktails of neurohormonal releases that start to show up in different parts of our body that become part of our physiology. For example, anger will show up in the neck and upper back. I'm a chiropractor, so I know this. That's why I got into this mindset work, was because I was seeing patients coming in with neck and upper back pain. And then I'm just holding on to, I'm just touching them and they're just like this. And I'm like, where's your anger? What is your anger all about? And then feelings of loss, feelings of longing, feelings of grief, loss, longing show up in the neck and chest. And then feelings of fear and anxiety show up right, in the stomach area, solar plexus, stomach area. That's where it shows up for me. So my inability to sit in those feelings and be present with another human being in that space, who, when I say I'd like to do this entrepreneurial gig, and then they start losing it because that doesn't match with their values. And then instead of me sitting and being present with what that feels, and I go, ooh, I feel sad, I feel grief, I feel anger, I feel rejected. And just by just giving the truth of your feelings, what we do is we avoid them and we feel rejected. And then we fight back, and it's a clash of two egos. And that's how every relationship of mine has fallen apart, because of my inability to sit with the uncomfortable feelings associated with holding space for another human being to share what's so for them when they're activated and triggered. So there's a lot going on here, and it all has to do with values. It all has to do with you knowing exactly what your values are, you knowing what the other person's values are, you being able to communicate what's important to you in terms of a win or what's important to them.
Yeah.
Okay. And at the end of the day, if there isn't a congruence, to be able to sit in those feelings and just be okay with that and be present to that. And if you are able to master all of that, then you're able to navigate through the disagreement in the relationship.
So it's interesting that you say that too, because that was one of the things that I wanted to bring up, because it's something that myself and Sharmila, my wife, still kind of come back to, is literally sitting in those feelings sometimes. Because there's times where, like, when we've gone through and we've identified our values, and there's an exercise that we can share with all of you. We've got it linked up in another video. But essentially, there's these 7 values that typically a person, I'll maybe let you say them, Nima, but where I want to get to with this is that there's times when me and Sharmila look at it and go, we value different things. We're not meant to be together,
Yeah.
And then there's the opposite.
That's very common. That's very common for people to feel that way.
And then
can I interrupt you? Oh, go ahead. Finish that thought, and then I want to touch on that.
Yeah. And then the opposite side of that, though, and I have this feeling, because me and Shar have different values in a lot of ways, I think to myself, well, what if I went and found somebody that had the same values as me? What would be the pros and cons of each one of those? And I know that's kind of leading to where we're going to talk about here now.
Okay. So here's the thing. Number one, you don't have to have the same values in order to have a relationship. In fact, if 2 people share the exact same values in a relationship, one of them is unnecessary. Okay? There's a reason why 2 people have different values, sometimes opposing values. It's so that you can delegate the things that are not as important to you to that other person, so you can be whole and complete. The challenge will happen in the relationship when you are not able to see and perceive how that person who has their values that are specific to them is going to help you get to where you want to go. If you can't link values and honor that, hey, you know what? It's kind of like having a team. It's like having a team. You each have your different strengths, right? Do you all have to have the same priorities and strengths, or is it a better team when you can have different strengths and honor that? The problem will cause a breakdown in your relationship when you cannot see that they having their values exactly as it is going to support you, is going to be supportive of you having your value, of you getting to where you want to go. If you can see that and link that, and it's simple exercise, if you have the right mentor and guide to walk you through and just do this exercise. It takes about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and you ask the question, how is them having this value? So Char's is career mom, okay? How is Char having career mom as a high value serving my business and me being a dad?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is your values. And you, by linking that up, you see that, wow, through this other person, I could get to, it's a service to me. I don't have to change that person. I can actually honor them for their values and honor me for my. First step is to honor you for your values. Most people haven't taken the time to do that exercise to find out what's most priority to them. And then what we do is we just keep projecting to the other person, expecting them to be living outside of their values.
And without judgment on that too, because I remember the first time you did this exercise with us, well, with the entire group that we worked with, you said, answer these 10 questions and do not judge yourself. Just answer it truthfully. And we'll come up with the set of values that, again, don't judge yourself. Like for me, what that was when I look at career and family as being my top two, career always kind of was above family. And now there's two things that go through my mind. Number one is that, like, I love what I do. So therefore career is high, and I place a lot of value on building my business and building a legacy and all these different things and supporting other people through what my, superpowers are. But with family, as soon as I had kids, I started thinking like, am I wrong for being so driven as an entrepreneur? Should I want to spend more time with my kids? Should I want to not work at all so that I can spend all my time? Like, I honestly believe that if money was not an object, like if I had all the wealth in the world that I needed to, and I could spend all of my time just hanging out with my kids and my family, I'd probably still work, Nima.
Me too. I know. Yeah. It just means that you have a high value on productivity, on work, on helping people through the vehicle that you have, which is your business. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you compare yourself to other people, maybe your brother or the guy who, the neighbor down the street who's just this perfect family guy, and then you're beating yourself up for not being like that, but not realizing that they have their own, they might be looking at you going, damn, he's got his stuff together, like I wish I was more like him. So essentially it's an understanding and an appreciation of what your values are, and then being able to honor what your partners are. And so you're not going to be able to enroll them onto your vision if they can't see that you doing that is going to help them get to where they want to go. That's on you. It's up to me to enroll you into my vision, but it's got to be a win for you. I can't just expect entrepreneurs, please, when you're listening to this, you cannot expect your family to just be supportive of your entrepreneurial vision by default, just because you're just such a great guy. Well, what's in it for them? Or a great girl? What's in it for them? You know what I mean? They have to be able to see. You got to sell it to them. They're human beings, just like, the rest of us. They have to see it as a win for them. If they see, and if you have an awareness of their values and you going after your vision is going to challenge their values, you have two choices. Either find a way to make it a win for them, or be prepared to sit in the fire of the discomforting feelings and the rejection feelings when they say, I don't approve.
You work too much.
So let me give you an example.
So much, right? Why don't you spend more time with your kids? Right.
And then you got to sit and just feel that and go, you should be spending more time with your kids. And then, that the pain when they say that, that's just always all of a sudden going to tear your heart. Right. But then the question is, can you sit in that discomforting feeling and just bring that up and then communicate that, rather than what we normally do, which is our ego gets triggered and activated. We turn around and then we look for ways, because hurt people. We turn around and then we stab back. And that's where the conflict will happen, because we haven't taken the time to self-regulate. And I'm just going to say this as a very important kind of foundation. A relationship and a business are impossible to grow strongly. Not impossible, but you're going to burn yourself out if you don't take the time to self-regulate. Self-regulate being taking the time to bring your nervous system into a regulated state, not a high, not a fight or flight. And let me give you an example. Take a little scan of yourself as you're sitting there. How's your breath?
I literally think I was just holding my breath for 20 seconds straight there, Nima.
Right, exactly.
Thinking about stuff, like tensing up.
This is all stuff that I was kind of forced to pay attention to after I burnt out, after I had a huge crisis in my relationship. It usually, these wake-up calls will happen in the wake of a crisis. And so the gift of my crisis was for me to stop and go, wow, I don't take the time to breathe. I don't take the time to do the work that I teach, which is to meditate and to have recreation and play. I'll tell you right now, one of the greatest things that you can do for your relationship is that your partner, of course, wants to see you happy. Of course, wants to see you happy. If you doing this entrepreneurial game is going to end up having you be working 15 hours, being miserable, not taking any time to pay attention and get into that person's world, and even, here's the most important part, play and recreation, which is something that I completely tossed to the curb, then why should they be enrolled in your entrepreneurial dream? Why would they be enrolled in something that makes you miserable, that destroys your health, that causes you to lose sleep, that makes you turn into a complete freaking asshole to them? And no time, they're burnt out, and sign me up for that, a partner who does that. So if you want to enroll your partner in an entrepreneurial dream, in your entrepreneurial dream, it is very important for you to show them that by doing so, they get a better version of you.
Yeah.
Whose responsibility is that, Trevor? And here's the other part of this. Because I coach you, right? If you could be honest with yourself, have you been showing up as a greater version as a result of that entrepreneurial dream? Have you been? Or where, the even better question, where can you step it up? Where can you up your game in that? Because we can always improve.
Yeah. Well, and I want to talk a little bit around the love languages here before we wrap things up. But I just noticed the comment there from Catherine. She mentioned women with family are facing other challenges.
Yeah. I got it. Can I share that? Can I share?
And Catherine, please expand too if you have more to say on that.
Please expand, Catherine. I'd love to hear more, but let me share with you some of the things that my clients are constantly faced with. Is that guilt, is a feeling of guilt, because a mom should be like, you go and you see, in the playground, these soccer moms who are just, with it and all about their kid, and they can just, they dedicate themselves completely to the kid. And then what the women with family who want to be who are entrepreneurs will look at that, and then they'll beat themselves up because there's that mother guilt, which is naturally embedded in the DNA of most moms, is that they have this guilt of, I'm not a good mom. They're already beating themselves. Yeah, exactly, Catherine. They're already beating themselves up for not being as present and all being about, the work. But then, it's this is divided mind of guilt. And so my hats off goes to you as an entrepreneurial mom who has a vision and a dream, yet also has a family and feels like she's torn both places, especially in that first day going back to work after you've been on mat leave. And then you got to go back to work, and then the kid is like, Mom, and then they're having this separation anxiety from you, and then you're going to work like in tears, feeling completely guilty. And my hats off go to you, because there's a cost. What I want you to know is that there's a cost to living your dream. And my family isn't always 100%. I don't have a wife or kids. I'm going through a breakup right now myself. We actually had a business. We were kind of business partners together, and so now what I'm very present to how important it is for me to make sure that whatever situation that I find myself in, I'm able to sit in the discomforting feelings and just be present and be with them, be with the other human being. And it's not always going to be rosy, but my ability to self-regulate in any situation becomes my number one priority. And when you can do that, you can adapt to any situation. And it's a moment to moment thing. Because Catherine, there's a strong imbalance, not doing enough for both to make it work. If partners see one more in a role, mother role hard. Yes. So Catherine, your job will be, Catherine, to be able to be present with your feelings in every moment. Because you can turn a challenging situation completely around by getting vulnerable. And intimacy doesn't necessarily mean everything is, oh my God, perfect and rosy. Intimacy means me sitting and holding space for myself and another person while they're having a moment of feeling like they miss you. And then you going to work and feeling that way. And just in each moment, giving your full present, undivided attention, you'll be able to see magic happen. And it's possible. But you have to prioritize your own self-regulation first.
And this actually is where it's relevant in my life right now. And the reason why we brought this topic up, and Catherine, thank you for the engagement back and forth here. It's good to see you again, by the way. This is a tough topic to discuss sometimes because, I went through this weekend. Nima is working with my wife and I right now. And I had a moment where I was like, Nima, I don't want to keep bothering you on this stuff. I feel like we're just constantly complaining. He's like, we're doing the work, man. He's like, when you have that feeling, when you have that feeling where you feel like your values of building your business are being attacked because she's telling you that she wants more of your time and you just can't give it and all that kind of stuff. He's like, sit in that. Just sit with her. Listen to it. Take it in.
No, not only that, but here's the thing. Listen to yourself and what you're making it mean and feel the rejection. And then you turn it around and you realize every single complaint that's happening, every collision is his little boy and her little boy, the two partners, little boy, little girl, saying, I want you to love me.
Yeah.
And once you get that, all of a sudden, it's a miracle. It's a miracle that you can literally shift the dynamic, but you have to do two things. You have to be able to sit with the feelings. Instead of avoiding the feeling and avoiding what you're saying, you sit with the feeling and you feel the fear, the longing, the anger, and you say, I feel afraid. I feel pretty angry. And then turn it into a wonder. I wonder if, it's all in how you communicate. I feel angry. I wonder if, I feel angry. I wonder if you think that I will ever be able to give you enough time. That is so non-threatening, and it's just about learning the magic of being able to be present in myself rather than reactive. This was my biggest challenge. Historically, this has been my biggest challenge. My inability to sit in the fire of my uncomfortable feelings and just label them and for 10 seconds and just deeply resonate with them and then share them in a way that can't really be argued.
Yeah.
I'm
right in the middle of this fire, just so everybody knows too, because my wife and I have an amazing connection and relationship, but it's also a very fiery one, like when both of us get triggered, it's like sparks are flying.
Yeah.
And
I know what that's like.
Yeah. And that passion is actually probably what has attracted each other to ourselves, but one of the things that's really come up for me too, and you said it, like Sharmila is a career mom, which means that, when she's at the playground and there's all the super moms there and stuff, like she gets those feelings inside. But at the same time, like I value the fact that she prioritizes her career and has some of her self-worth tied to what she does in contribution for her work, and I want to support that. And when she says to me, you're always working, what I'm starting to hear through the work that we're doing too is that like she looks at me at sometimes with envy, like she wants to, not envy, I shouldn't say it that way, but she sees what I'm doing, and she wants to be doing the same thing. So
Yeah.
I'm working myself on not taking what she's saying personally. As Catherine said, don't believe everything you think, and instead just sitting with this and not taking it as though my wife is saying you're a workaholic, you don't make any time for your family, but instead like, I value what you're doing too, and I kind of want to do that. She doesn't want to feel this shame that she feels around the soccer moms and that type of thing.
Yeah.
You know,
what's needed here, Trevor, is putting the 8th area of life in there, and that's play and recreation. And I'm going to share this with every single entrepreneur here. This was the biggest mistake that I made, that now it's like, oh, if you schedule play and recreation, play is the opposite of depression. It's not happiness, it's playfulness. Because playfulness involves being in the moment. It involves just recreating. It's creating, recreating, just for the purpose of being in the moment. And so your challenge that, what I'd like to kind of leave you guys with is, if you can show your partner that by following your entrepreneurial vision, they get a better version of you that's more playful. It's not just about the money. That's more playful. Then they have no choice but to support it, because they want a better version of you, whatever that takes.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You got to get that they want the best version of you for them. They got one that's more attentive, more loving. But if your entrepreneurial vision takes away from them, then they should not be supportive. That's on you as the entrepreneur, if you want to create harmony. And that's basically this whole lesson in a nutshell.
Yeah.
That's it.
And on that note too, I know I brought up the idea of love languages and whatnot too. Is there a resource people can go to check that out, Nima? Like, I know that there's a website.
Google it, the five love languages. Take the quiz and find out what that is, and make sure you know what your partner's is. Yeah. Because if you want to be able to connect, then you got to know their love language.
Well, and this was a big one for me, because I know when we went through this, there was Sharmila and I both place acknowledgement very high. We want to be acknowledged for what we're doing. We want to be recognized.
Words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation, right? And where we differed, though, was the other one for me was acts of kindness. So I very much appreciate having dinner made for me, or, whatever, you pick me up an ice cream from the store when you're out walking our dog or something. And for her, I thought that it was the same thing, but for her, it's quality time. She literally just wants my time. She wants me to be present. She wants me to, take our family to the park after work and just spend an hour together. And what I would do, though, is I would come to her with acts of kindness, knowing that that's what I wanted. So, like, I'd make her breakfast on a Sunday, being like, all right, husband of the year,
Yeah, exactly. But she's like, that basically wasn't her love language. Yeah, it's a big revelation for people. It's a very good book. It's good for you to know what the love languages are of your team as well, because it's the same thing. This is where we're dealing with human beings. So you're building a business. Your business, any problem in my business is a personal problem. Every problem I've ever had in my business has been a personal problem, has been a personal development issue. And so that's why your mindset is important, and mindset, how we relate to each other, is so important. So I'm really delving into that, studying intimacy, loving teaching and studying that. And the most important part is to learn how to become intimate with self. And I don't mean that sexually. I mean to be able to turn inside and go, I feel scared. I wonder if, we're ever going to connect on a deeper level than this. And just sharing that without any judgment or expectation opens the door, because the other person will, they have no choice but to go, wow, that's like a vulnerable share. And so through our vulnerability and intimacy, by sharing our shit with one another, we start to develop deeper bonds and connections. And that's really an art, and it's something that's worth exploring. It's something that's worth studying. And so I'm here to master that, and I love teaching it too.
Absolutely. All right. So you know what? Let's wrap up on that note here for this week. And just know that we greatly appreciate every single person that is watching this right now, and anybody that will be watching it on the replay as well. Whatever you're going through, just know there's other people going through it as well, and having these discussions.
Not alone.
You're not alone, right? Having these discussions, talking through this, as Catherine mentioned right at the very top, this was a topic that I honestly, I'm pushing myself into boundaries where I never went before either. I didn't talk about this stuff before. I business was business and home was home, but that's not how it works. If your home life is in disarray and you don't take the time to listen to what your partner needs, and you expect them to just know what you need and you're forcing it down their throat, your business will not survive. Your marriage will not survive. It takes two. It takes
your health will turn to crap.
Yeah, absolutely. So we appreciate you being here. And of course, as always, reach out. Let us know if something really hits you here. Let us know if you want any support in any areas. We're here to serve. So Nima, any final words?
Yeah, just learn how to be present with yourself, and self-regulation. Learn how to be in your body. And the quickest way to get out of your head is to get into your body and be present with the discomforting feelings and just let them breathe into them. And when you breathe into them, they are allowed to move through you. You'll see that they don't control you. Otherwise, they get stuck in your body and create illnesses and disconnections and dysregulation in your nervous system. It creates volatility, a lack of sleep, all sorts of autoimmune problems, and it can all be turned around with the right mindset.
Amazing. Thank you very much for being here, everyone.
God
Talk
bless.
to you next week.